Hello and welcome to the first edition of the Ultimate Climbing Gear Guide, brought to you by trick-tips.com. Basically what this series is about is we're going to go through all the different types of climbing gear that you need to go trad climbing, bouldering, sport climbing, any type of climbing you want to do. Okay, so we start from the basics and work our way up. Okay, so a few of the topics we're going to cover are understanding force. We're going to go through that later on in this first edition. And then we go through slings, the different types of slings, things like that. Belay devices, again, all these different types of belay devices, ropes, half ropes, single ropes, protection, so your nuts, cams, all of that. Quick draws, boots, helmets, harnesses, and all the little extras like chalk, your rope bags, your ascenders, bouldering mats and all of that. And then I'm sure I'll chuck in some more stuff as it goes along as well. So that's what we're going to be going through throughout the series. First of all, quick apology though. I did mean to film this outside, but due to some sound issues, and as you can tell, my microphone isn't too great even in here, and some weather issues and things like that. Unfortunately, I've just had to get it out on a screencast for now. I hope to refilm it later on the series, later on in the year, if a good response. So start off, we're going to go through understanding forces. Okay, so the reason we're doing that is so that you understand a bit more about the gear that you buy, or you already have, so you understand how strong it is, where you can use it, and also a little bit more about what I talk about later on in the series. Okay, so it's a really important thing to have a basic understanding of before you use gear that essentially you may not know much about. Okay, so force is measured in newtons. Okay, so although in climbing it's kilonewtons, which is basically 1,000 newtons. So you'll see a lot around this symbol. You see a lot around this symbol. It's a little k and a big N. Okay, so that means kilonewtons. So this is how your climbing gear is rated. So you may see on your gear which is 24 kilonewtons or 9 kilonewtons or whatever it may be for that bit of gear. So if this is the way that your gear is rated, we obviously need to know how much that is. So if we had a climber on a rope like that, had a climber, he's hanging on a rope in his harness, all happy like that, and he weighs 100 kilograms. Okay, so he weighs 100 kilograms and he's hanging on this rope here. Then he would be creating 1 kilonewton of force onto that rope. Okay, so 100 kilogram person, approximately 15 stone, hanging on the rope, would be causing approximately 1 kilonewton of force. Okay, so that's a basic math to work that out. Now, if this climber were to start climbing up the rope, then his mass wouldn't change at all. He still weigh 100 kilograms. But the force up here would increase up to twice the amount, so it could go up to 2 kilonewtons. So as I said, his mass hasn't changed at all because he's climbing up. He's creating more force on the anchors. Okay. Now, when you're top roping or your bottom roping or your seconding or whatever, you'd only really ever maximum really produce 2 to 3 kilonewtons. Okay, that's because you only fall a small amount. Because the rope is above you, pulling you up. Okay, so you only fall sort of half a foot maximum. So maximum about 2 to 3 kilonewtons. So that's a really small amount of force, really, in climbing. The interesting thing, and the more important thing, is the amount of force generated on a leader fall. So when lead climbing, your forces are a lot higher generally if you were to fall off, because the rope isn't above you, you're falling down, the rope goes slack and then it goes tight again. So once you get caught by the rope, the anchors have a lot more work to do to stay in the rock or to stay where they are. Okay, so the way we work this out is a thing called the fall factor. Okay, now when climbing with a certified climbing rope and things, the maximum fall factor can ever be is 2. That's because of the rope, the way it's made, and regulations and things like that. You can get a higher fall factor than 2, but that would be using static ropes and things like that, very dangerous way to climb. And obviously it'd be a very bad thing to do because it would really hurt. So fall factor, basically it's determined by the length of the fall and the amount of rope that is paid out. Okay, so the amount of rope that the climber has to fall onto. Okay, so it's a nice simple equation to do this. Basically what it is the length of fall over the rope paid out. Okay, so length of fall over the rope paid out. So if someone was climbing up, so they're climbing up, they've got the rope down, coming down below them. There's them happily climbing up this superb wall up here, and then we've got a belayer standing on here, belaying. Now, if they are climbing up and they put loads of bits of gear in, they've got the gear there, then they wouldn't fall very far before the rope caught them, and they'd have a lot of rope, all of this rope, to stretch to soften their fall. So the fall factor would be very small. However, if you had no gear in any of this, so you have none of this, and he falls all the way down here, so the rope is then below him. Okay, so he's now down here, pretty much on the ground. The rope below him, and he's fallen past the belayer. Then obviously he's fallen this whole distance all the way down, so let's say that's 10 meters, but he's only fallen on this amount of rope, so that's 5 meters. So that would be really bad, because that would be basically the length of the rope, okay, which is the length of the fall, sorry, which is 10 meters, so you put 10 here, divided by the amount of rope paid out, which is 5, and now this equals 2, which is the maximum fall factor with a climbing rope. Okay, so there's more information on fall factors, about how you can reduce it, working it out, why you need to know it, and things like that. At the link below where I've written a article about it. So we're going to skip on in this video to what forces your gear can take. So here we have a table of the general strength that most sort of basic gear can take. Obviously check your manufacturer's technical manual for what each individual bit of gear can actually take, but these are rough guidelines. So your average leader fall would be around 4 to 7 kilonewtons of force. Okay, so an average leader fall, sort of less than fall factor 1, would be 4 to 7 kilonewtons. Generally more around 4 to 5 kilonewtons. But let's say for this example that 7 kilonewtons is your maximum general average fall. Okay, just for this example. Obviously it can be higher. So going by a fall of 7 kilonewtons, obviously if you have a look at what bits of gear would be able to hold that fall comfortably. So our sling and our carabiner would be able to hold that comfortably, hold pretty big forces. Our number 9 nut and our cam, or our bigger nuts and our cams, will also be absolutely fine as long as they're placed in the rock correctly. And our number 1 nut, that would also be fine. It's on the borderline, but remember this is a maximum sort of average fall. Okay, so number 1 nut, smallest nut, would also be fine. The micro nut and the micro cam, they have slightly smaller forces that they can take, just because of the way they're made. They're not as big, so they can't hold quite as much. But it doesn't mean to say you can't use those bits of gear. If that's all you've got, then place more of them, and it's better than nothing. It will slow you down, or if the fall is small enough, hopefully it will be, then it will hold you fine anyway. So on a high impact fall, so over fall factor 1, the gear will start to break. So if a fall factor, high impact fall of say 12 kilonewtons, some stuff will start to break. So the nuts, they will start to struggle, the cams will start to struggle, and things like that. So they will suffer from a high impact fall. So this is why it's really important to keep your fall factor at a minimum. 12 kilonewtons, the reason I said 12 kilonewtons is that's the maximum amount of force that can happen on a dynamic climbing rope due to regulations. So because of the stretch, any amount of fall on it can be no more than 12 kilonewtons. This is a very good thing because anything above 10 kilonewtons is considered to cause pretty bad internal damage, or certainly could cause pretty bad internal damage. So anything above 10 kilonewtons is pretty bad, so you really want to avoid that and slow down your force. So I hope you learned something from this video. Remember, there's loads more information at the link below. Go to the Trick Tips website where there's a full article on all of this. You find out more. If you have any questions or anything like that, put a comment below, or go to the Trick Tips website, put a comment there, and I'll try my best to answer them. I do apologise again for the sound quality. I'll try and get that improved at some point soon. In the meantime, stay tuned, subscribe for more of the videos coming very, very soon. Cheers and goodbye.